Hello all sentient beings and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk all news, comics, and media related to the... On this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode, we review Go-Bots Issue 2. Okay. We also talk about the newly revealed Transformers trading card game cards, and Comixology is running a Transformers sale. Today is Friday, February 8th, 2019, and this is episode 115 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that welcomes our new GoBot overlords. I'm your host Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Yusuf, better known as Yoshi.
Yo, Leader One.
And Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how you doing, eh? Let's talk Transformers.
Canadian like Jeremy is here.
Maple syrup and beer.
Yes, we are still Daryl-less this week, but I'm sure he'll be back soon.
He's not going to be back for a few weeks, Charles.
Well, that's still soon.
Did you see his time off request? You had to sign off on it.
I didn't say next week. I said soon.
He said a relative term.
I think the rule is after 2 weeks we can start looking for a replacement, right?
You can start now if you want.
Ouch. News item number one. So Daryl's not coming back. What do you think new Daryl's going to be like? Knowledgeable perhaps?
we had young Daryl, so young Daryl could be new Daryl.
Yeah.
We need a number one Daryl.
All right, enough Daryl.
I have been saying that from the beginning, Charles.
So we start off as always with thanking our Donatreons. Yes, I said Donatreons because that is a real word. Because I say it's a real word, and we are thanking them for giving us money on Patreon and PayPal. We really appreciate it. You help keep the show going. We don't have any new Donatreons this week, but we thank all our current ones, and we appreciate your support.
In the form of money.
Yes. Also, if you are not able or not interested in giving us donations, you can also support us by buying merchandise from our TeePublic store at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. You can buy Transmissions branded merchandise, or you can just buy anything from TeePublic, and we get a small percentage back. So help us out and visit our shop, and we'd appreciate it. One of the perks of being a Transmissions Donatreon is that you get automatically entered into our monthly Toy Hacks $10 gift code contest. And this week we had the drawing for the January Toy Hacks winner, and that turned out to be Emmers. So congratulations to Emmers, one of our longtime Transmissions Donatreons. We hope you enjoy those stickers from Toy Hacks. All right, so let's get into the comics news this week. So this was something that came as a bit of a surprise. I don't think we really had any, or maybe if we had some announcements about it, it wasn't really prominently mentioned. But IDW put out a new book featuring Transformers box art. So this is 10 frameable images from the Transformers Legacy box art book that came out a few years ago. That was by Bill Forrester and Jim Sorensen. And this book, this is just the package art portfolio. It was released last week for $40. And as I said, has 10 frameable lithographs that you can display for the classic G1 Transformers box art. So
I was actually looking at that at my comic store today, and I was like, "Where did this come from?" it looks really nice. It was shrink wrap, so I couldn't open it up, but I was surprised that it is frameable prints it's not something that's like bound in the book, so it's pretty cool.
It's a portfolio, right? It's not a book. Yeah.
Right.
No, they pulled this out at my comic book store too. They're like, "Hey, Yoshi, look what just literally came in the mail today." I'm like, "How much is it?" And they said $40. I'm like, "That is a great price. I have no need for this, but it is a great price." It just seems like, I don't know if you guys agree. It just seems like one of those things. Like, it's cool, it's there, and I wish I wanted it.
Well, I mean, I have that thing that was at Hobby Lobby a few years ago that has like a small strip from, all these different box art.
Yeah.
I would gladly replace that with these.
But you didn't.
Well, because I haven't bought it yet. I'm likely gonna pick it up. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's a cool item, and maybe check your comic shop to see if it's still there, since it's a release that kind of slipped under the radar. All right, another bit of news. We have another cover from the upcoming Transformers reboot comic series from IDW. This one was shared by IDW managing editor Tom Waltz. Tom Waltz. And this is art from Corrales, aka Umi Miao. I guess. Yeah, I think it's a Japanese artist. It's art of Prowl examining some evidence as Bumblebee is excitedly pointing behind him to, look at something off panel. So it's a cool image.
Look at Bumblebee's face. Yeah. It's like he just saw a grown man naked for the first time.
He's also pointing off to the side, like there's something that Prowl's not seeing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like a grown man naked.
I like this image. I think it's cool. Apparently, this is for this might be for issue number 4 of the series coming in April. But we'll see. All these covers are nice, but I'd really like to see some samples of the interior artwork just to get a taste for what we're getting. But it's nice to see the covers.
Well, we're now in February, so March is only weeks away.
Yeah, it's getting closer.
And then Diamond is going to have a delay.
So only 2 months to go, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our comic review. And this week we are reviewing GoBots number 2. This is Tom Scioli's complete vision from top to bottom. So he is the sole credit on GoBots number 2 for the story, the art, and the letters.
And we learn in this issue why that's not a good thing.
Oh, shut up, Yoshi. You can't bash the book before we even review it.
Look, I have to step up my game because Daryl's not here to back me up.
Yeah, I was talking with my comic book shop guy today when I was buying my books, and I picked up number 3, and he said he actually jumped in on the series and he's enjoying it.
So double dumbass on you, Yoshi. All right, so story art and letters by Tom Scioli, edits by David Hedgecock, and publisher Greg Goldstein, although he is no longer the publisher since Chris Ryle came back in December. But anyway, let's get into GoBots number 2. First up, we've got 3 covers. Okay, the first cover is a headshot of Psykill by Tom Scioli. Cover B is kind of a weird, like Picasso cover with featuring Matt Hunter, AJ, and Scooter. Scooter and Hunter both shouting "Go," and that's by Dash Shaw. And then the retailer incentive cover is by Jim Rugg and features Psykill, Leader 1 fighting Copter, and Crasher versus Turbo. So, Yoshi, which of these 3 covers?
If my comic book store had carried the RI cover, I would have bought that because I like the art on it. It's very 80s. It's very retro. That is the cover of a book I want to read.
Cool.
And it was Jim Rugg, you said?
Yeah, Jim Rugg.
You rock, Jim Rugg. Do some more like that.
All right, Jeremy, which cover would you pick?
I also like the RI. it has that look of like a classic 80s wrestling magazine, with like the kind of teasing the stories in there, you know, and it all just kind of screams wrestling to me, and I like it.
I am going to pick cover A, the main cover by Tom Scioli. I just like the kind of clean, just headshot look for that cover. So,
has Psykill ever looked that peaceful?
Well, he does. He looks stoic. Yeah, I don't think he's looking.
Has he ever looked stoic?
Peaceful. I don't know enough about. Usually he looks dead because Megatron's killing him in the arena. Every cameo he has in the Transformers book is him being murdered in the arena by Megatron. But yeah. All right, let's get into the story. The Go-Botocalypse is here. After Psykill defeated Leader 1 last issue, he has cemented his rule of the Renegade Go-Bots. Psykill has assembled an army of Renegade Go-Bots who are ready to throw off the chains of their human oppressors and take over the world. Many Go-Bots have been convinced by Psykill's words, like the mining drill Go-Bot Screwhead. He realized how callous the human leaders were when they sent him and his human partner Vernon into an unstable mine. When the mine collapsed, Screwhead was able to escape, but his soft, frail human friend was not so lucky. Psykill promises Screwhead that things will be better for everyone in the new order. As Psykill takes his fellow Go-Bots to start the revolution, he orders 2 of his troops to take the broken Leader 1 to the dump and dispose of him. Then, Psykill's renegade Go-Bots go on a robot rampage, causing destruction, panic, and death everywhere they go. As the chaos engulfs the city, it comes closer to AJ Foster and her Go-Bot Scooter. Scooter assures AJ that he won't hurt her and would never let anything happen to her. He transforms to his Vespa mode, and AJ hops on, fleeing the murderous Go-Bot uprising. The Go-Bots' wave of destruction continues to grow, and they destroy a dam, flooding the city. AJ and Scooter manage to escape the flood by climbing to the roof of a tall building. But at the top of the building, they encounter another Go-Bot, Race Car Turbo, and his human partner, Matt Hunter. At first, AJ thinks Turbo is hostile, but he and Matt assure them they're friendly. Matt asks AJ what's happening, and she tells him the Go-Bots are going berserk everywhere. Matt is surprised since the Go-Bots' G-chip is supposed to prevent them from harming humans due to the first law of Go-Botics. Matt wonders if Turbo and Scooter are somehow immune to whatever glitch is affecting all the Go-Bots. But Turbo tells him it's not a glitch, he has free will, G-chip or no, and decides to be a nice guy for himself. So AJ asks what do they do now? How do they fight back and stop the renegade Go-Bots? Matt isn't interested in fighting, especially if it's just their 2 Go-Bots versus everyone else. AJ says maybe they can get to the Tonka building and upload a patch to reset all the Go-Bots before they can do more damage. But Matt thinks they should leave that job to the proper authorities. As if on cue, 2 police cars arrive on the street below the building. Matt calls to them for help, but the police cars transform into renegade Go-Bots and start firing on them. Scooter and Turbo shield their human friends and transform into their alt modes to escape. The Go-Bot cops chase them through the city, but Turbo, Matt, Scooter, and AJ manage to shake off their pursuers. They finally find their way to the Tonka building after Matt makes a pit stop to loot a liquor store. Meanwhile, at the dump, Psykill's 2 Go-Bot goons throw Leader 1 into the car crusher and execute him. As the walls close in on Leader 1, he finds the strength to push back and escape the crusher. He overpowers and grabs the 2 goons and throws them in, crushing them even as they beg for their lives. Back in the city, the Go-Botocalypse continues unabated. The human government leaders are watching the situation escalate. With no word from pilot Nick Burns and his Go-Bot fighter jet Leader 1, they are ready to deploy a military option to stop the Go-Bot rampage. The U.S. Air Force is sent in, but they're no match for the renegade Go-Bot flyers. Just as they're about to be decimated, Leader 1 returns and helps turn the tide for the humans against the renegades. Inside the Tonka building, AJ and Matt meet a Go-Bot technician and his forklift Go-Bot Spoons. AJ asks the technician how they can stop the renegade Go-Bots, but the technician tells them there's nothing they can do. The Go-Bots aren't malfunctioning, they're rebelling against their masters. The GoBots were given independent thought and free will, and they've judged humans unworthy. Desperate, AJ asks what can they do? And the technician simply tells them to run and hope they don't get caught. But even then, it doesn't look like any of the renegade GoBots are in a live and let live mood. As they leave the Tonka building and try to figure out their next move, they see a human body strung up on telephone pole wires. Matt pours out the alcohol from his liquor bottles and tells Turbo to fill up the empty bottles with volatile GoBot fuel to create makeshift Molotov cocktails. As they do this, the strung-up body cries out for help. Surprisingly still alive, they take him down and discover that it's T. Coriander Banks, Psykill's former owner. Banks has been critically injured, but he manages to tell them how the GoBot revolution started. Banks hired a GoBot expert to modify the GoBot's desire for bloodlust. He just wanted the GoBots to fight each other for his amusement. But what he didn't know was that the military had started softening the GoBot's first law and made it possible for the GoBots to kill humans in certain situations. This change in the GoBot's code spread to other GoBots like a virus. Combined with the desire for blood, it became a lethal combination. Banks dies lamenting how his own limo GoBot Stretch turned on him in the end. And speak of the devil, Stretch is here and attacks. Matt throws his GoBot-fueled Molotov cocktails at Stretch, lighting him on fire, but Stretch doesn't stop and Turbo jumps up to fight back. Meanwhile, more renegade GoBots attack and grab Scooter. Stretch beats Turbo down, pushing him into a crevice in the street and into the sewer below. And the other GoBots knock Scooter to the ground, torturing him. Suddenly, a voice tells him to stop. Renegade leader Psykill has arrived. He asks the prone Scooter if he likes humans. Scooter admits that he does, and Psykill agrees he likes them too. He picks up AJ as she tries to flee. As he's about to eat AJ, she throws a bottle of GoBot fuel in his face, causing an explosion. Psykill drops AJ and Matt catches her as they run away. Enraged, Psykill grabs Scooter, declaring that every GoBot has a choice to ride or be ridden. He forcibly transforms Scooter into a scooter mode and literally rides him. Scooter begs for mercy, but Psykill has none. He prepares to strike the killing blow, but before he can, Turbo has returned, climbing his way out of the sewer. Turbo calls out Psykill and they clash head on, but Psykill is too much for Turbo and easily defeats him. As Psykill roars in triumph, a new group of GoBots appears. Led by Leader 1, these GoBots are loyal to the humans and are going to stop Psykill's renegades. Leader 1 challenges Psykill a single combat for rule over the GoBots. As they battle, the human military army has arrived and fires back on the renegade GoBots as well. Amid the war zone, Leader 1 and Psykill trade blows as they savagely beat each other for control of GoBot kind. While Leader 1 was built as a military war machine, Psykill was just a regular motorcycle who had been modified specifically for killing. As their battle continues, Psykill gets the upper hand and knocks Leader 1 to the ground. Psykill transforms to motorcycle mode and attaches energy chains to Leader 1, planning to drag him through the streets until he's dead. But Leader 1 has one trick left. Using the jet engines in his legs, he flies into the air, lifting Psykill into the air by those same energy chains. Leader 1 turns the tables on Psykill, riding him the same way Psykill rode Scooter and smashing him into a wall. Broken and defeated on the ground, Psykill is still defiant. He tells Leader 1 he knows he's not a savior, he just wants to rule the world for himself. Leader 1 doesn't reply, but silently opens his cockpit and cradles the body of his fallen human partner, Nick Burns. The renegade GoBots recognize Leader 1 as their leader and urge him to lead them to the capital and take the world from the humans by force. But Scooter says no, let's go back to how things were and serve the humans faithfully. Other GoBots refuse to go back into bondage. Finally, Turbo asks Leader 1, what will they do? But Leader 1 remains silent. We'll have to wait till next issue to find out. To be continued. And that is issue 2 of GoBots. I actually really enjoyed this issue. I thought it was a crazy take on basically the Terminator Judgment Day. But lots of really interesting things. It was weird to see how sadistic the renegade GoBots were getting with attacking the humans, and interesting the direction they took it, and I like the nods to other sci-fi, like Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics, or Go-Botics. I thought that was cute. And the Tonka building, because of course Tonka was the original toy company that marketed the GoBots in the United States, so that was a nice reference. And I just thought it was really a fun story. So also the panel counts on some of these pages got really insane. I think there was one page that had over 20 panels in a single page. So it's crazy the way Tom, that's kind of some of the crazy we expect from Tom Scioli's art. So not disappointed. So I'll let Yoshi go first, since I know he has the exact opposite opinion. So go ahead, Yoshi.
There's a story here, but to me, it's Tom Scioli comes off to me as a guy with ADD who's got so much shit going on. He wants to fit it all in this issue, and I don't think it works because it was too much and too fast, if that makes sense. Like I have nothing wrong with the 26 panels on a page. He's found a way to make it work, and that's fine. But I just feel like he's putting everything in here and hoping something is gold. Does that make sense?
It's like a 12-issue miniseries packed down into 5 issues.
Kind of. Now, you either like his art or you hate his art, and I'm not even gonna. I don't like it, but I can see. I mean, like I for some reason I like the panels. Like the tons of panels doesn't frighten me. The tons of wording doesn't frighten me. The horrendous art does. The amount he's trying to stuff in here story-wise bothers me. And I believe page 23 is the only page where we actually get to see a transformation, and that's Psych Hill. I mean, it's implied in other places. Even the really cool scene where Psych Hill is trying to force transform Scooter could have looked really cool. But it's like this is their gimmick. Like this is what sold the toys. Like show it transforming. That seems like an important aspect that is lost on a lot of these creators. Not just Scioli. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot about the composition of how this book is put together I really like, and there's a story in there that would have flowed a lot better if we weren't adding so much stuff in it on top of it. So yeah, I guess I'm trying not to be negative too much because everybody knows how I feel, but there is good here, and I don't want to ignore that over hatred. So yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. There is good here, and I can see the good parts. But the whole thing as a whole product is not good.
There is good in him. I can find it. All right, Jeremy, what were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I do have to agree with Yoshi. There is so much packed in here, and like I said, it feels like this is a longer series that he was forced to condense, and especially like having already read the next issue and kind of knowing what happens there, it even strengthens that argument that I really wish this would have been given like a 12-issue, basically year-long thing, because the basic story ideas here are interesting, and it seems like some things are being glossed over just for the purposes of moving it along to the next thing. And, that is to its detriment. I am one that does enjoy the art. I like different art styles, and I think Scioli has a very unique style, and it doesn't bother me at all. I like it, and I also like how he does play with the panels, and on some pages they even kind of escape the panel, like the just like different things kind of go past the borders. So I think Skilly has his art style, and like Yoshi said, you either like it or you don't, and I like it. I think it looks good, especially compared to the Transformers versus G.I. Joe. I think it's a more toned down from the absolute insanity that was that series. But I mean, overall, I enjoyed the book. I just wish that there was more room for him to tell the story.
I thought it flowed pretty well, at least I appreciated that, at least like the first, I know we haven't reviewed the third issue yet, but I've read the third issue too. I mean, each one of these issues feels like a complete story arc by itself. Like the first issue, I think was setting up the kind of GoBot revolution. This one is the revolution. And then the third issue is
it the revolution or the GoBotocalypse?
Go-Botocalypse.
Go-Botocalypse, yeah. Which is it? Pick one.
Right. But
it's both.
But I just feel like even if it was just 2 issues instead of 1 for each part, it would be able to kind of expand on these ideas rather than go from like one scene explaining something to the next scene explaining the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's I think what I like about this is like all the panels almost give it like a story, an animation storyboard quality, where we're getting a lot of action scenes get drawn out, and like you can see how you could animate this.
Mm-hmm.
And I like I just think that adds to the storytelling here in the comic. I also I like I mentioned the nods to to Asimov and Tonka and everything. One thing that stuck out for me, at least as kind of weird, this whole ride or be ridden. I mean, I don't know, that felt I mean, I don't want to read too much into it, but that had some kind of nasty overtones for me. I don't know.
Yeah, it did.
So that was a little bit weird. Like,
it's okay to not like Scioli.
No, I didn't. That's not. That's. I just thought it was a weird choice to make.
Does he make a weird choice in issue 3?
There are ramifications from that scene.
Yeah, he makes. But I think issue 3 is issue 3. When we get to review it, it's a very it's an interesting turn that I did not expect, and I thought it was. I'm curious to see how the rest of the series will go after issue 3 is like a major status quo change. Like that's very interesting.
It would have made a great issue 6.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I am enjoying this series. I think as kind of a really out there take on GoBots, since GoBots has not really had a lot of love in fiction. This is a nice way to just say, okay, let's do whatever we want with it and make it as crazy as possible. And I appreciate that. All right, well, that is our review of GoBots number 2. So let's move on to Transformers media news.
In media news this week, the first thing we have is some unused Transformers concept art by N-IX Art Production Studio. I'm not sure how they pronounce that. This is a number of characters that are kind of in a classic G1 style, and they say this is for a canceled project. This is likely for some game that never came out, but these are very interesting. Megatron is probably the most interesting here in that he has green panels on him. So it's never really been a color that we associate with Megatron, other than I guess G2.
Exactly,
look at Megatron's mouth.
Yeah, it looks.
Doesn't he look like one of those Nintendo Wii things?
Maybe
it's definitely for a video game, I guess.
Yeah. Next thing we have is some design artwork for the Cyberverse series. This is by Leo Chiola, and this is just a few pieces of just like various, like we see a couple figures and then just like pieces of figures and kind of a side view of, I'm thinking that's Shockwave. Oh, one of these is from Francisco Giglio as well. So there's a full gallery linked on this TFW article. It's always nice to see kind of how this stuff is made. Next thing we have is Amazon has some Transformers BotBot shirts and hoodies. So if you would like to get them, there's a link here, and I can imagine this first one that's like linked here is the pizza one, and it says, "You want a pizza me?" I'm expecting Josh Perez to be wearing that at a convention. The next thing we have is some Transformers trading card news. They have revealed 3 new battle cards, and I am interested in at least one of these. There is a Scrounge figure, which for some reason has rung art. Oh, I guess it's more the verb scrounge rather than the character. Never mind. Screw this. No. So you get a Scrounge card, a Secret Dealings card, and a Smelt card. Then there's some other cards here. There are upgrades for Dinobots and Predacons. The Dinobots get electrified spikes, and Predacons get tooth and claw upgrades. Glad to see this is they keep adding to this. We also have a reveal of Optimus Maximus, and this is another one of their combiners that they're making, and this combines new cards with Ironhide, Hot Rod, Mirage, Sunstreaker, Prowl, and Optimus Prime in his white form, as you saw in Combiner Wars. And then a Sentinel Enigma card, which is required to form this combiner. So they have, I guess this is the first Autobot, you got Volcanicus too. So you got 2 Autobot and 2 Decepticon combiners. And, I still think the way that they're doing these combiners is kind of ingenious with the way the cards fold and stuff. The next thing that we have here is there is a Transformers sale on Comixology through February 11th. This has mainly the collected editions. So if you want to catch up on, or I guess if you want to get things that are missing from the previous continuity, now is the time to get them digitally for a great price. Like they are significantly reduced in price. And we have a couple things for the Bumblebee movie here. More Japanese voice actors have been revealed because, again, the movie has not been released in Japan yet. They are getting a Japanese dub. The voice of Charlie Watson is going to be to you. I see why Yoshi didn't want to do mediums. Tuchia Tao. I'm
Tuchia Tao.
There you go. Tuchia Tao. And the voice of Memo is going to be Shishan Jun. I believe we've announced some of these other ones as well, but it's interesting to see because I'm sure we've seen clips like that have been posted online of the opening sequence that seem to be like the Korean version because there are subtitles there, but like all these other ones, other countries seem to be getting just the English dub and getting subtitles, and Japan is getting their own dub. So that's really interesting. All right. Well, so that is our media news this week. On to convention news.
And first off, in convention news, comic book artist and friend of the show, Casey Collar, is going to be attending the Western Massachusetts Comic Book Show. That'll be on Sunday, May 26th of this year. Also, we got some TFCon news. Greg Berger has joined the G1 reunion that will be at TFCon Los Angeles. Greg is only there for Friday. If you are going for specific guests, please read the fine print, because some people are only going for one day, and Greg is only going to be there on Friday.
But hey, they're putting this on the graphic now.
Finally. They need to go back and do that with all the previous ones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's technically before the show even starts. So if you weren't planning to get there till Friday evening, you're SOL if you want to meet Greg Berger.
Yeah. Well, at least on the website it says it's 3 days.
Yeah.
It caught me off guard too.
He's going to be there Friday from 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah, registration is usually not open till 5 on Friday.
I think Friday is going to be a full day.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah. They said
they're advertising
Friday,
it as
Saturday,
full
and Sunday,
3 day.
not just Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. They shooting myself in the foot. They could do a better job about this. They've also announced that artist Sarah Peter Durocher will be there. She's going to be there the whole time. And, if you got a commission request for her, get it in early. She's a very popular one at the show. And that's it for convention news, Charles.
All right. Well, Yoshi, stay right there because we're going right into feedback.
Yay! And if you would like to send us some feedback here at Transmissions, head on over to transmissionspodcast.com/feedback. There, every conceivable way to get a hold of us is presented to you. So we've made it as convenient as possible. Jeremy has worked on it day and night while working on it night and day to make sure that it is simple, efficient, and funny. And with that, Jeremy, I understand we have a voicemail this week. Is that right?
That is right.
All right.
Okay, first of all, donatron is not a word. I think we all need to accept this, and we all need to accept that Charles has issues. Hey guys, it's Mikey. Hope you're all doing well. This is a random thing that came to me as I was driving a car, so I thought I'd ask. We're currently existing in kind of a media blackout, for want of a better term, in terms of stuff appealing to older fans specifically. The main comic line is obviously on hold until March. We don't really have any animation going on right now that is tailored for us in sort of the way you'd say maybe Prime or Animated was. Cyberverse is a lot better than I ever thought it would be, but it's not. It's still very much a kid's cartoon, just one that pushes a few boundaries. So my question is, how important is it, in your opinion, that Transformers has media that engages fans? Is it, first, there are plenty of fans who only collect the toys. So do you think Transformers would survive, let's say a 2 to 3 year period where there were no major media? Or do you think media is so intrinsically tied to Transformers that it just has to be there? We need that fictional element to keep it all drawn in and keep going. Happy New Year, belated. Hope you're all doing well, and I'll talk to you soon. Still not a word.
So that was Mikey from Moonbase 2, and that was a really good question. Charles, you want to take point on this one?
Sure. First of all, Mikey, you're dead to me.
I think his comment really makes you sound like you have even more of a problem based on what you said at the beginning of the show. and I bit my tongue because I knew it would make you sound, even worse.
You made our boss look like an ass. I am sending you a bonus, sir.
Maybe Mikey looks like an ass. Did you ever consider that?
No. I haven't. Mikey's a swell individual.
Anyway, so I actually don't think Transformers needs media targeted at adult fans to survive. I think Transformers has pretty much thrived on media aimed squarely at the target market for a long time. And we had, during the 90s when, basically absolutely everything was, Transformers was not at a high point. The adult fans survived on fanfic, and there was a thriving fanfic community. And you can still go find Transformers fanfic out there. There's a lot of good fanfic. A lot of our modern, the kind of arguably the best Transformers comics writer that has come out in the IDW comics, James Roberts, came out of Transformers fanfic. Nick Roche was a fan artist who did Transformers fanfic. Jack Lawrence also did some of that Transformers fanfic. So I don't think the Transformers needs to cater to adult fans to survive. But what I do think is that the best Transformers media hits the appeals to kids, but also has things for adults and appeals to all ages. Like, I mean, this is the same thing with any, this is why we love a lot of, quote unquote kids properties that are now, have a wider following. I mean, comic books in general, all of Marvel and DC stuff, those were all done ostensibly for kids, but the writers, wrote them so that they appealed to a wider audience. And now we've got, lots and lots of Marvel movies with lots of themes that appeal to everyone. So I think it's possible to just have media that is probably targeted at kids, but also appeals to everyone. And I enjoyed Cyberverse. I think the Cyberverse cartoon is actually really well done and fits that sweet spot pretty well. I am happy to have the more adult focused Transformers comics that are coming out in a month or so, but that's really a new invention. I mean, before Dreamwave in 2002, Transformers comics were not targeted for adult fans because there were no adult fans. It was all kids who grew up with the original G1 stuff. So, I think, Transformers is bigger than that, and we'll survive that. We'll survive not having that.
Okay, Jeremy, what do you think?
I largely agree. I think Transformers needs some sort of media just to survive, because we saw what happened, at the end of G1, where without any media at all, the line kind of petered out for a bit. But I don't think the media has to be targeted towards adults. I would love it if we did get it, but when they tried to do that, we got the Machinima series, which I will credit for bringing down Machinima completely, since it's all gone. I want to, selfishly, I want to see, deep fiction, but I don't think we're going to get that in animation. We might get that in direct-to-video stuff based on the success of Bumblebee, but I'm not really counting on that. So I think comics is largely going to be more towards, the adult fans, and the cartoons are going to be largely geared towards the kids. But, like Mikey said, the Cyberverse has been a lot better than any of us have expected. It's clearly geared towards the fan, but it's the type of show that does have things for the adults watching, little bits here and there that kids wouldn't pick up on. And they're pulling so much from the previous IDW continuity that I'm really enjoying it based on all this extra stuff. And, it is a show I think an adult could watch with a kid and they could both enjoy it. But, I do long for the days of, Beast Wars depth or Transformers Prime depth of storytelling, but I'm not expecting to get that on the screen, at least anytime soon. Yoshi, what do you think?
I don't know if I'm going to do as good of a job answering this as you guys did. Nostalgia sells. Mad Balls came out of nowhere again, and people bought the shit out of them. I think the same thing happened with Garbage Pail Kids. We don't need a fiction for it to survive, though it really does make it easier for everybody if they have it. Comics, I don't know if comics make enough money for Hasbro to give a shit. Cartoons, I think the problem with cartoons being a medium is that you're competing for kids' attentions who have iPads and Facebook. Like, you don't have Saturday morning cartoons anymore. You don't have a dedicated audience.
You're competing against YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle. Now, in areas I would think they would compete less in and have more attention are movies, especially if you make good movies, and video games. And I think everyone has ranted and raved about most Transformers video games. I'm not talking about iOS games. I'm talking about video games. And they've ranted and raved about the last live action movie, which I think is the attention they like. I just don't know if they're yet getting enough of the market share to laser focus on something. It would be nice to have them laser focus on something instead of, having a great comic book series James Roberts is writing and all of a sudden say, oh, you got to inject combiners now and fuck everything up. Like, I don't know. We live in an interesting time where everybody's attention is so spread out, but it seems like video games and movies are a dominant force, and if utilized correctly, it could really boon the franchise. And I think that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, particularly video games. I mean, until recently, Transformers video games have not been great. I mean, I think the last few, like Transformers Devastation and then the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron games, those are high points that everyone praises that came out relatively recently. Yeah, but it seems like licensed video games in general have been in a bit of at least have people are not seeing as big a return on their investment there. So it seems like they've moved away from them. Not just Transformers, but in general.
How much of that is the fact that like Transformers has so many different versions now that if they want my attention, they got to make something G1. If they want children's attention, they've got to focus on Cyberverse or what have you. It's like you can't just I don't know, how the fuck do I want to say this? It's not like they can put out a new version of Grand Theft Auto where everybody knows what you're getting and we're looking forward to it. You put out a new Transformers video game, it's like, okay, what subsection of the fandom is this catering to, rather than the whole fandom?
Yeah.
With every time they do this, with every time they come out with a new iteration or bring up an older iteration, you're just splitting the fandom up into these smaller subsections. Right or wrong, it's split up. Like, you're not getting 100% of the fandom's attention when you do that. I'm not crying. I just ran out of breath.
Well, I mean, I think a good video game will attract everyone's attention. I mean, Fall of Cybertron got a lot of people's attention. It had a pretty strong story behind it. People can complain about the looks all you want, but it had the voice acting and the story that we largely wanted. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, tell us a good story through video games, and that I'd be on board with it. I mean, I think I largely bought an Xbox 360 because of Fall of Cybertron. So, there's precedent for me to do that again if you give me a good reason to. But, yeah, I mean, the licensed video games has been not doing so good, thanks EA and Star Wars Battlefront 2. I think part of the problem has also been like who Hasbro chooses to partner with on the various forms of media. Again, they chose to partner with Machinima, and we see what that did. They partnered with Activision, who shut down the studio that did the good games, and then we got the Dark Spark game, which was smoking turd. And Hasbro needs to make better choices on who to partner with. They have a winner with IDW. They seemingly have, success with Paramount, but video games, they haven't had good luck.
Mike, that was a very thought-provoking question, and you're taking up too much of our time. So, shout out to Mike in the Moonbase, and that's it for feedback this week, Charles.
Number one, Mikey.
All right, well, that will do it for this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. But just because this episode is over doesn't mean that Transformers fun has to stop. Join us and other Transformers fans on our Discord chat server by visiting transmissionspodcast.com/discord. If you would like to learn more about how you could support the Transmissions Podcast, just visit transmissionspodcast.com/support. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
$20 seconds.
Oh, no, I don't think I can. No, I'm kidding.
10 seconds.
We're go for record, Houston.
5 seconds. Recording.
We have a successful launch. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
As long as Charles doesn't do it, he'll be happy.
Yeah.
That's true.
He's already doing a non-Transformers review this week.
Which one do you want to do, Yoshi?
I probably won't stumble as badly in the convention news.
All right.
You did it.
If only I could do a Russian accent. Be like, yeah.